I play Rachel Morgan, who is a woman who is trying to come to terms with the death of her son, and after the Second World War moves out to Hamburg, where her husband is, what would you describe him as? One in charge of one of the sections of Hamburg and trying to kind of deal with the aftermath of the Second World War and rebuilding a city. I didn't know that there was an English occupation of Germany after the war. I didn't know anything about, I think in modern terms, I guess it would be called the exit strategy, you know, of the Allies when they were in Germany and how that worked. And I think I was really interested in the idea of how do you suddenly, when you've been living as enemies for so long, how do you suddenly get past that? How do you suddenly see people as people again and not simply as evil and on the other side? That's a really difficult thing to do when you've lived through such incredibly violent times and everybody has experienced such incredible loss, particularly, you know, Rachel's son was killed in a bombing. How do you suddenly look at German people and see their humanity? How do you know about the Holocaust and see their humanity? You know, how do you not blame everybody? And I thought it was I hadn't read anything like that. I've done this period before, but I've never dealt with the aftermath of this period. I'm a research buff, you know, I love doing research, and having done quite a few films set in this period before, I've done a lot of research about the war, and it was a funny thing with this one, I didn't go for the research specific to the history. I read much more about grief. So, and in fictional terms, and in, you know, I read A Year of Magical Thinking, which I'd read before, but I reread. Grief is the Thing with Feathers, and the C.S. Lewis about the death of his wife. I can't remember what it's called, but anyway, I read that one as well. And then horrifically, and I mean, went on quite a few sites about bereavement. I thought for Rachel in this, she's reacting. Like she's lived through the war. She's lived through her, what it would be like being in London, being bombed. What she's never seen is the catastrophe that had happened in Germany. You know, so I quite liked the idea that she was a reactive person, that she came in with her idea of who these people were and what this country was and what they would be like, and then is suddenly having to confront the fact that there are people who are grieving in the same way that she's grieving, and there are people that have suffered such incredible loss in the same way that she has. When Jason came on board with this, I was so happy. I'm such a fan of his work. I really loved working with him as briefly as we did in Everest. I really liked working with him. You know, stylistically, he's a very different actor than me. And it's funny because quite often when you get somebody who's very different stylistically, it can be really difficult to work with. And I just find it really exciting with him. I find the kind of merging of different ways of working really exciting. And I think we just get on, and that really helps. So I was kind of quite confident coming into this that we'd be able to kind of click into something. She's totally wonderful. I'd seen her in The Crown and thought that she was just fabulous. So again, really excited that she was coming to play Susan. She has, you know, I think we actually, again, if you're talking about styles, have a thing that we both like, which is this very sort of 1940s kind of the clipped sort of thing. And James Kent, the director, was kind of constantly going, not that posh, not that posh. And we both like, oh. So when we'd get together, suddenly we'd be really, really posh, and then we'd have to kind of bring it down quite a lot. Yeah, I really loved working with her. She's great. She's 14. I mean, it's just annoying that she's that good. acting in another language. And she's 14. And she learned how to play the piano. The other day, she completely upstaged me. I've been totally just miming, going, yep, I'm completely fine. And she'd actually learned it. It's really annoying working with really young people. But no, she's totally fabulous. She's completely fabulous. I think, you know, we've been so lucky with absolutely everybody that's got involved with this. I think people have found it like a really exciting thing to be a part of. And you can see that in the cast, and you can see that in the crew as well. So it's all been made, which was astonishing because we only literally had one fitting before we started, 2 fittings maybe. And Boyana has created, I mean, a very chic wardrobe for Rachel. It's very clean lines, very well fitted, and very kind of quite simple with a lot of it, but very well made. So she's a very well-dressed creature, Rachel. Lucky her. When we were in the Czech Republic, the ruins that they used as Hamburg, it was really moving, you know, what she'd done with them. It was sort of the crosses put onto them and the people living inside them, the boxes of blown out kind of apartments that people were still in. And I thought that kind of attention to detail was really, really amazing. And then, of course, she, you know, phoned up the gods of snow and made sure that it was snowing the whole time in the Czech Republic, which was really lucky, because in the script I kept reading, you know, and it's snowing, and you're thinking, well, that's not going to happen, or we're going to have snow business, and it's going to be like this papery stuff that sticks on everything and makes you think you've got dandruff, and it's all just a bit much. And actually, from the moment we got to Prague, it started snowing and it didn't stop. And I've never experienced snow like that, and it was amazing.